Oh, I've got so much going on, I can't afford to give up on you. I don't know.
And he's very knowledgeable. He's very, he's afraid to speak.
How do you have time to do anything else?
I have four executive.
Friend of mine's son, went to Air Force Academy, played football.
Okay, well, that makes it a little more.
Really?
You still gotta do
They,
that.
it's got the.
He's just a weight trainer. Middle linebacker. Just about as good a kid as you could call. Looks like we're averaging. Oh, no, that's not true.
Came back to you.
Came back as undeliverable. So I did like.
And that was what, I had two problems last week. One was the tower.
I will not.
And the other was I found that out. So
Going hunting, right?
To go in and empty.
Then we vacate.
I just tried.
Ice
Fishing,
fishing.
they're rebuilding here.
I had not heard it called that.
Well,
Surprise.
I just can't keep you wise. Yeah, it's a little bit rebuilding. I think. Oh, yeah, no, this was actually a couple months.
Sit next to my counter.
There's a couple of guys who were expecting to send you all. Yeah. There's a.
Good evening, everyone.
Maxwell.
Do a real quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Outstanding. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Canyon Regional Water Authority Board of Trustees meeting for Monday, September 12th. At this time, we'll do a quick roll call. Do we have a roll call list?
You don't know.
Thank you. Easier if I have the check sheet. Ted Gibbs.
Here.
Martin Poor.
Here.
Justin Oates. Abigail Mayberry. Richard White. Doug Schnauts.
Here.
And I'm sorry,
Tracy Shield
Tracy Shield. And we'll need to get you sworn in at some point in time.
after, so I will not be a voting member tonight. Okay.
You're still here. We'll get you sworn in. Jack Carson. Regina Frankie.
Present.
Randy Schwen.
Here.
Brandon Rohan.
Here.
Mark Gilbert. Al Suarez. Christina Miller.
Here.
Steve Cooper.
Present.
Stephen Fonville. James Forcell. Doris Stubing. Might be one of the first ones she's missed in a long time. Doug Spillman.
Here.
Clint Ellis.
Here.
Steve Ramsey.
Here.
Are from trustee, their manager. Okay. We do have a quorum. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that greatly. Next thing we'll do is an invocation. If everybody bow their head, please. Heavenly Father, we again thank you for the many blessings we enjoy. We pray for your healing for those suffering from illness and pain. We ask that you continue to watch over the staff at CRWA as they continue to provide our communities with drinking water. Father, we ask that you grant us all strength and stamina, wisdom and knowledge and empathy as we conduct the business of CRWA and our daily lives. In your son's name we pray. Amen. Everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I see we have a couple guests online. At least Graham Moore is online. I think everybody else up there is staff, correct? Okay. So Graham, when it's time to speak, just remember to let everybody know who's talking if you have any thing to add during the meeting. No one online will be voting, so it'll be just a normal voting pattern internally. We'll just do it like we've done in the past. We'll move on to item number 2, citizens to be heard. Comments on non-agenda items, no discussion from the board, 3-minute time limit. Comments on a specific item on this agenda, discussion from and with the board may be allowed. Again, 3-minute time limit per citizen. Time may not be shared or ceded to another citizen. Is there anybody here in the audience that wishes to speak under citizens to be heard? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 3. It's the consent agenda. All items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered as part of the order of business. We have 2 items here. We have approval of the August 2022 board meeting minutes, and we have approval of the July 2022 financial reports and check register report until audited, and the quarterly investment report. And I believe that we have some modifications or changes to the minutes as presented, submitted by Doris on page 5. Under Hayes Caldwell Water Treatment Plant membranes. I don't know what a circle and a squiggly line means. Take it out. Okay, she wants to make a couple corrections. On item 2, she wants to remove the word "be" between "will" and "submit." And on item 5, she wants to remove the word "of" between January and 2023. They are basically considered Scrivener errors. There's no real change to the meaning of the minutes. I will accept a motion on the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda with the adjustments to the minutes as presented by Doris, say aye. Anybody opposed? That passes unanimously. Make sure we get this to the ladies. Awesome. Item 4, Canyon Regional Water Authority reports, updates from written reports by staff, legal counsel, and others. First one is water treatment and conveyance operations. I'll turn this over to staff.
Good. Next slide. Okay, so the last time we met, I presented this illustration that shows that Texas has been in an extreme drought. This was from August 2nd. It's published by the U.S. Drought Monitor System at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. And we have been in extreme to exceptional drought. We have seen some improvement over the month of August. Next slide. And this is the change, which is very encouraging. But as you can see, that lower red and dark red area is us. So we're still in extreme and exceptional drought through September 6th. So, but things are improving around us, which is encouraging. Next slide. Part of the reason for the improvement is we've started to get some precipitation. In July, we only had a trace, which is why you can't really see anything there. But in August, you can see that right here, we've got a little over a couple of inches of rain. And as measured at the San Antonio International Airport, and for those of you who are interested in what happens at the airport here in New Braunfels, they got 7.99 inches over the same period of time through August. So it's pretty consistent. Still way below what we need to be. We're 13.9 inches behind the average, but we're starting to improve a little bit. That's encouraging. Next slide. So with that, here's the production so far out of Lake Dunlap. During the month of August, our minimum day was 5.57 MGD. Max day 11.64, average day 8.96. Total for the month of August, 200 and almost 278 million gallons. Year to date, we're about 14 point, well, almost 1,500 million gallons. What we're trying to achieve as a goal here is 14.4 on an average day. We're not there. And the raw water availability to us has been about 15.2 million gallons a day. And the reason I put that up here is we're going to talk about Nanostone a little bit later in the discussion of what's going on with that particular subject. Next slide. Wells Ranch, a better picture. In the month of August, our minimum day was over 7 million gallons a day, max day almost 12, average day just under 10. Total for the month of August, a little over 300 million gallons total production. And year to date, just shy of 2,000 million gallons. And as you can see, we had quite a bit of production in this summer. Next slide. Hayes Caldwell, also doing not too bad considering the challenges we've had with those coke membranes. Minimum day was about 1.6, max day over 3 million gallons a day, average day not quite 2.4. Total for the month of August, 74 million gallons, and year to date, almost 590 million gallons. So not bad. That's due to the hard work of the folks out there at that particular treatment plant, because they don't have all of the assets we have here at Lake Dunlap. Next slide. So this is combined production from all three plants. You see a trend line there. It's been increasing since January of 2021. Actually, it's been increasing long before that. But total August production from all three plants has been 654 million gallons, or about 21.1 million gallons a day average. Year-to-date production, just over 4,000 million gallons. Next slide. Similar information, but presented in a different way. This is the production at all three plants in total as a histogram, and you can see what the production rate has been and how it compares. We're trying to get the Lake Dunlap to be higher than Wells Ranch, but right now Wells Ranch has been making up for the shortcomings of what's going on here at Lake Dunlap. But overall, we're doing pretty good in terms of production as all three plants are combined. So this is through August of this year. Next slide. This is a graph showing production and delivery treated water to the various entities receiving water from Lake Dunlap and Wells Ranch. And as you can see, leading the pack is Green Valley, far out with 176 million gallons through or for the month of August. So that's pretty good. Next slide. Hayes Caldwell, a smaller facility, also doing pretty well. Leading the pack here is County Line in terms of production. Next slide. Nope, that's it. Any questions from anybody? I think you all received a handout of this presentation, so if you have any questions, let me know. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Next up, we have legal and legislative matters. I'll start with Trey.
I continue to work with the general manager, the construction committee and executive committee on contract. Related operations, again, hear more details
Microphone.
about the disputes that were involved during Mr. Rohan's report from the construction committee. We did have an executive session to receive direction from CRWA during the construction committee meeting, and I received marching orders concerning a demand placed upon CRWA by Track Control related to the Wells Ranch expansion project that's been completed for some time, and we're moving forward with those directions.
It's on. You have to talk a little closer.
Okay. I'm happy to answer any questions if there's any. Really, it's more of a day-to-day assignment by assignment engagement, working closely with the general manager and those committees.
Any questions for Trey on those matters? Hearing none, we'll move on to Lou.
Our Supreme Court litigation, as we reported previously, is over. So I'm not involved in that at this moment. We're not involved in that at this moment. And as the general manager has talked about, you can see across the street that the Dunlap repairs or the Dunlap new facility is well advanced and that changes things, and that gets us out of the litigation for sure. I've been involved with Mr. Gibbs and his committee on policy, and that'll take care of its own report in due course. And other than that, I've been working generally with the general manager.
Thank you, Lou. Any questions for Lou? Thank you, Mr. Rosenberg. Alliance Regional Water.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Graham. Can you hear me okay?
Hang on a second. We're going to see if we can get that volume to come up.
Okay.
Give that a try.
Is this a little bit better now?
Yes.
Great. I really don't have much to report. My information's already in your packet, but I'm happy to take any questions that anybody has.
Anybody have any questions for Graham Moore on Alliance Regional Water Authority? Hearing none, we'll move on to Wells Ranch 3. Draft water supply and treatment contract. Returning this to staff, looks like it's going to be Umberto. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Just to recap, Wells Ranch 3 is a project that entails 7 entities. We sent out a water supply agreement on August 1st, initial review, and we asked for comments on August 15th. We received some comments. Subsequently, we met on August 24th with all the 7 entities and all their attorneys, and we looked at and obtained some more comments. Last week, on September 8th, Canyon Regional, along with bond counsel and our attorneys, met and added some more stuff to this water supply agreement, in particular technical issues that we need to address with regard to the water supply agreement. Subsequently, we're going to be sending out this agreement for a second go around at the end of this week on the 16th. And our hope is to have it and have the entities make comments within by September 30th, with the hopes of finalizing the comments in October. I lost my place here, in October. So that way, October 3rd, we're going to have, October 5th, we're going to have a third draft sent out to all participants, again, once we receive comments of September. And then by October 28th, we'll have final comments from all participants. Now, what's important and what's been stressed to us and stressed to the different entities is 2 issues. One is that we are asking that the entities who are requesting different amounts of water than the contract, please inform us, because as you know, the contract will change if an entity is requesting more or less water percentages. So we need to start ironing out the percentages as to what these entities are requesting, but also that each entity that is looking at participating in this agreement, that they go back and look at their availability of sustaining the new rates, if you will. So there is a big plea that all entities who are looking to do this, that they do a rate study. That way, when we go before bonds, that everybody can basically pay for the water that they say they can pay for. So that's a takeaway that I'm telling the board, that you please do this and make sure if you're interested, that it's the amount you're asking for. If you want more, please let us know. If you want less, please let us know. Our hope is by November, December, we finalize these contracts and we move forward for a bond sale at the end of the year. So with that, I'll take any questions y'all may have.
Any questions for Umberto on Wells Ranch 3? Hearing none, we'll move over to South Texas Regional Water Planning Group, Region L.
So these 2 items are my items and they're in my report. And so I'll take any questions you may have with regards to these 2 items.
The second item would be groundwater districts of Guadalupe and Gonzales counties.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions for Umberto on those last 2 items? Hearing none, thank you, Umberto. We're going to move on to item 5, Canyon Regional Water Authority Policy and Legislative Committee Report. And that will be Mr. Gibbs.
The committee continues to make really good progress. There's a lot of work going into making sure these policies are good for CRWA. and its employees. Right now, we're on personnel policy manual, and we'll continue to push that. The committee has talked about having a legal review specific to labor law to make sure that we're in compliance once we've finished. We want to do that. We looked at some of the options. Mr. Kaufman has some experience with an employer's council membership. And we've asked him to bring that to the trustees to approve or disapprove us being able to use that as our option to get the review complete. Plus, it also gives us some additional benefits. Kaufman?
Yet at this time.
Okay. Okay, we'll table that and get it again when you're ready. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Gibbs, thank you to you and your committee for the work you're doing. I know it's taking a lot of time to get all those things done, and I'm sure the output will be great. Any questions for Mr. Gibbs in relation to the Policy and Legislative Committee report? Hearing none, we're going to move on to item 6, Canyon Regional Water Authority. Construction Committee reports. First one up is the GIS system with Utility Engineering Group, and I think that's going to be David Kniper.
Correct. David Knapper with Utility Engineering Group. On the GIS system, I have nothing additional to add other than what's in my report, but be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any question for David and in relation to the GIS system? David, thank you very much. Next one is the TxDOT CRWA IH-10 Santa Clara and Zool Pipeline Encasement Projects. Again, Utility Engineering.
Correct. David Knapper, again, with Utility Engineering Group. On this item, there's actually item 8 later in the agenda that will discuss the recommendation of award for the project. Other than that, I have nothing additional to add.
Any questions for David on this item? David, thank you. Moving on to next item, CRWA Master Plan Update, Tri-Hydro Engineering.
Good evening, Board. Dave Robigo with Tri-Hydro, and I have nothing to revise or update to the report for the master plan update.
Thank you, David. Does anybody have any questions on the CRWA Master Plan Update? Again, the data is included in your packet. Hearing none, we'll move on to Wells Ranch 2 Generator Installation Project. David, I think you've got that one as well.
Yes, sir. Just reiterating what's in the report that generator startups are slated for mid-October for this project.
That's good news. That's real good. Outstanding. Any questions for David related to the generator installation project, Wells Ranch 2, and startup scheduled for October? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, Wells Ranch 3 water treatment plant optimization and conceptual pipeline designs.
Nothing to update on the report, sir. Just to reiterate that we're working on alignments right now and just trying to optimize the alignment for the transmission line.
Any questions on that one? I'm not going to say it again. I'm going to get messed up on that one. Moving on to the next one, Lake Dunlap Water Treatment Plant, Nanostone Filter Performance and Pilot Testing. David?
For this, nothing to update from the report. Canyon Regional staff, Tri-Hydro, Nanostone staff, and Black and Beach, who is working with Nanostone, are continue to coordinate to just come up with options to be able to remediate or optimize the production at the Lake Dunlap treatment plant.
You have anything to add to that, sir?
We meet briefly by Teams meeting to discuss logistics on getting the pilot project going. We've talked about some of the preliminary forensic analyses that have been done on our filters, as well as some comments and suggestions by Black and Veatch on how to optimize operations. One of the comments that Black and Veatch had made in some of their observations here at the facility is that they suspect there may be an imbalance in some of the hydraulics at the header. So we're going to investigate that. That might have a role to play in why some of the nanostone filters aren't performing as what we thought. They've also looked at the presence of organics on the membranes, those that they've done forensic analysis on, and we're studying that in terms of what we think might be the potential cause of that. The jury's still out on that, but we're studying it. Anyway, the pilot unit is due to come in October, as I remember, and we're working through the logistics of getting it set up. And that's all I wanted to add to that. Thanks, David.
Thank you, sir. Any questions related to the nanostone filter performance and pilot testing? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, Hayes Caldwell Water Treatment Plant Facility Improvements. First item there is exterior to filter building status report on approvals and funding. Ardura Engineering, Marcus Nizer.
Hello, good evening, Marcus Nizer with Ardura. Nothing else really to add to the report other than we are on the Commissioner's Court agenda for Caldwell County tomorrow for a waiver on the permitting fee that is going to be required there for the water treatment plant project. So hoping for good results there. And the other update is TWDB basically has come up with an option for us to pull component out of the scope of work for their loan that we have with them in order to move forward with sufficiency of funds and bid this thing out sooner than later instead of waiting for the hazard mitigation grant, see if that comes through. So all that requires is that we draft a letter to them and update the feasibility report and get their approval, which should be pretty easy. And then we'll be able to take the entire package out to bid. And the game plan is to be able to award one package under that advertisement, and then whatever's not under the original budget will be pushed forward for a second bid package or a phase 2 bid package, seeing if that hazard mitigation grant comes through or other funding to move forward with the second phase. So just a addition to the report there.
TWDB is agreeing to that at this point in time?
TWDB, that is their answer because everybody is in the same boat as y'all. All the construction prices have gone up across the state, and that's their out basically, is they're allowing entities to remove scope and keep the dollar amount the same so they can move projects forward.
Okay, and do we have any update from anyone on the hazard mitigation grants and our status or any data on that?
Haven't heard anything on the applications. Usually there's an RFI that comes out from the reviewing entity. However, I heard that they're looking at all the generator projects first. And our job isn't really a generator job, even though it has a generator, but y'all's generator is already on the ground out there. It's really just raising and putting it on a permanent installation above the floodplain. So haven't received any RFIs yet.
Marcus, what component would you consider pulling out of it?
The component we would pull out is the raw water pump station, because the package that we put together and submitted for on the hazard mitigation grant is everything at the front end of the plant. So it's the raw water pump station, the electrical for that, the generator, the clarifier, and the chem feed. So it's everything upstream of the filters are in that project. And it would make sense to pull that pump station out because it could potentially be funded through hazard mitigation. Everything downstream of the filters, ozone, clear well, decant structure, pond, that would be what we could potentially award on this first bid package.
Marcus, this is Brandon Rohan. The items in that second bid, would they actually have to go out or could they be delayed by some amount of time while the member entities find another way to fund it?
They could be delayed.
Okay.
So they're going to be in this first bid package, but we're probably not going to have enough money to award them. So we're going to award the base bid items and some add-alts. All those other items I talked about will be add-alts in this package, which we'll be able to get pricing for, but it's up to the discretion of this board on what is approved awarded in that contract to move forward with. So everything that's left out would have to be repackaged and bid out again later at whatever timetable. It's up to us, basically.
But they're not critical for the original items, the first items.
No.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think John had a question.
Marcus, would you mind talking just very briefly about the discussions we've had with San Marcos on their pipeline connection?
Yes, yeah, we've been coordinating with Friesen Nichols, which is City of San Marcos's consultant for the pipeline. We're meeting bi-weekly just to coordinate. And we've provided them some information at the tie-in point for our project and their project. They are just now starting 30% design on their pipeline. And we're staying in contact with them and the city to provide them what they need as we move forward. There was discussion about putting a backflow preventer on their side of the connection point to prevent backflow into the water plant from their system. And that was brought up at the last meeting. I think that's about all I can share from that last meeting.
Outstanding, good update. Anybody have any questions for Marcus Snyder on this part of the Hayes Caldwell Water Treatment Plant Facility improvements? Excellent, thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
Not yet. Inside filter building status report on plan for interim mobile membrane filter unit and permanent membrane filter replacement. Tri-hydro, I think that's David. Then you. Promise not to forget you.
So just a quick update from the report. We are advertising tomorrow, then subsequently the following 2 weeks as well for the temporary filter unit. The plan is to have the bid award recommendation before this board for the November meeting.
Okay.
I'll be happy to answer any questions or address any concerns the board may have at this time.
Any questions on the bid out of the interim mobile membrane filter units and permanent membrane filter replacement? Go ahead, sir.
Is there any update on the status of TCEQ?
No, so we've contacted TCEQ. We're awaiting a formal response from them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
They know what we want. Do we have a meeting scheduled?
Yes, sir. They're aware of what we want. Yes, sir.
Good question. Perfect. Now we will move on to our Vice President, Brandon Rohan, Chairman of the Construction Committee.
And I apologize, I've got a fight with allergies here for the last week. It's really been kicking me down. So I'll try to speak as clearly as I possibly can. We do have item 8 here. The construction committee 2 months ago did recommend that we award that bid. We'll mention that again when we get to item 8. As far as the coke membrane at Hayes Caldwell, you got a little bit update on that. We're still needing extended clean, still working on some temporary solution and then a permanent solution. We don't expect to have an answer on that permanent solution until the beginning of 2023. The work on the generators continue, as David said. At the construction committee, we applauded them for moving that timeline up a little bit sooner to get those generators up and running so that we can identify any issues before winter. So we appreciate that. We heard Nanostone is continuing to work with CRWA on the issues here at this plant. We did talk with council at the construction committee about some different things moving forward involving the generator contract and some other disputes. That's all I have for my report. I will take any questions if you have any.
Do you have any questions for Vice President Rohan?
Thank you.
Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8. Excuse me, item 7, water attorney update on a request for qualifications. Are we thinking this will be on the next Board of Trustees meeting? It needs to be. That's why we're kind of hinting at that direction we're going here.
Yes.
Outstanding. All right, now we'll move on to item 8. TxDOT CRWA IH-10 at Santa Clara and Zool Pipeline Encasement Project. Approve award of construction contract with Ram 2 Construction with a base bid of $425,000, $425,068.50. And I'm going to turn it over to David Kniper with Utility Engineering Group. David.
Thank you. So what you'll have in y'all's packet tonight is our recommendation of award for Ram 2 construction for the amount that the board president listed. We had received 4 qualified bids on July 21st, and Ram 2 is the low bidder on the project. And so we've provided our recommendation of award for consideration tonight. It's gone to construction committee, and they have provided a recommendation from the construction committee. So it's here tonight for the full board's approval, consideration and approval.
John, do you have anything to add on that?
No, and I have nothing to add. It's this is the best qualified bid at the lowest price.
And just as a reminder, since this project is a federally funded highway project, it is 100% reimbursable. Of course, Canyon Regional's got to upfront those dollars first and then get reimbursed on the back end, but it is 100% reimbursable once it's complete.
David, will your team be taking care of all the 1818 forms that have to be submitted to
Correct.
TxDOT, and you'll be processing all of those things?
Yes, that will be part of the construction process.
Sounds like fun.
So the construction committee does recommend we award this bid. So I will move that we award the construction contract with Ram 2 for $425,068.50.
Mr. Attorney, go ahead.
Being a new contract policy that I've brought up from time to time about having a for some future date so that we try to, if that's not already been done.
Our construction administrator is a staff person, David McMullen. Due to the nature of the project, he can manage it pretty well on our behalf as a staff member.
Don't catch that. Not at all. Can you give a quick explanation of what just happened so they can catch that? They didn't hear what you said, Lou.
All right, can you go ahead? Can I be heard now? Okay. The idea of having a construction administrator by the owner is something that Texas statute recommends strongly. It makes it mandatory. And we've talked about this on and off now for 3 or 4 or 5 months. And I simply asked the question to bring the point to head is, do we have somebody designated for our administrative supervision of the construction site, not for the owner, for the contractor, or not for the engineer, but somebody for the owner?
Okay.
And the answer by the manager was, we have staff designated for that purpose.
Which is David McMullen at this time.
Yes, sir.
And David, your firm will provide construction oversight as far as
That
what's
is-
being done.
That
in
is
the field.
correct. So we'll handle all of the paperwork portion of the project, all of the submittals, pre-construction conference, any requests for information, anything like that, all pay requests. This is a fairly small project, and we'll also be conducting site observations just so we can certify the construction at the end of the project. We'll handle all the coordination with TxDOT, all of that, and we'll coordinate with CRWA staff for the on-site inspections during the process.
And because this is a federal project or federally reimbursed project, it's a particularly good one to have that kind of internal management oversight so that we can cover our bases when it comes to costs and cost reimbursement.
David, is the UA already completed with TxDOT?
Yes, so that is, the standard utility agreement is complete with TxDOT, and that allowed us to actually bid the project. But as the president brought up before, there are certain forms to meet TxDOT's Buy America requirements that we have to get completed. And actually, we have to get those completed with the material submittals before construction even starts. So we'll coordinate with TxDOT on the project. They'll actually have their conflict coordinators out there taking pictures of the material that goes into the ground. And we'll be in contact with them throughout the construction process just to make sure that the material that was approved and submitted as the material going in the ground. And so we'll handle all that coordination. And then on the back end of the project, once it's complete, we'll coordinate the reimbursement with TxDOT.
In the utility agreement with TxDOT, did we include any cost for staff oversight? Or
I'll
just
have to go
engineering?
Back and look. I think it's just engineering, but I'll have to go back and confirm
Okay.
that.
If you haven't ever done a utility agreement with TxDOT when it's in federal funding, when we talk about a Form 1818, which is a proof of where the steel came from, you have to go all the way back to the foundry when the steel was actually formed. And you have to have documentation from the time that steel became steel, then became rolled steel, then became pipe, then became whatever it becomes. You have to trace it back to its origin, literally when it was formed. And they're a stickler for that. If you don't have all those T's crossed, they will not pay for it. They will just not accept it.
That's correct. And actually, RAM 2, we're actually working with them right now on a TxDOT funded project that's going through the reimbursement process. So they're aware of the documentation requirements that we're going to have to go through. So, that's a bonus.
Thank you.
It's a complex process.
Correct.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of awarding the bid to RAM 2 Construction for $425,068.50, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed to awarding this contract?
Can I ask a quick question of David while he's still at the table? Is there an estimated time frame for when the reimbursement will be?
Based on my current experience that we're working through right now, we are 8 months into the process. I feel like we're getting close, but every time you provide them the information that they request, there's always seems to be something else they want. So I would estimate probably 12 months.
David, they're holding retainage on this as well, correct?
No. Oh,
TxDOT's holding.
No, they're not holding retainage.
Really?
No. Yeah, so in this case, since, well, it depends on how we set up the reimbursement process. This is a pretty short process. I would only imagine we're gonna have 2 to 3 pay applications. So we can do the reimbursement all at once at the end, or we can do it monthly. I think in this case, to get the process started early, I think we'll want to start doing the monthly reimbursement request. But in our other project experience, TxDOT's not holding any retainage.
They are on my project, damn it. 10%. Normally it takes 6 to 9 months to get the first one through because they nitpick it. The second one's about half that time. If you do a third request, it's normally measured in weeks, not months. It's just getting the process down. Once the process is down, they're trusting the data you're sending them, it goes quickly. But it can take, when the project's finished, it could take anywhere from 6 months to a year to get your final payment out of them.
The timeframe that David suggested is what I assumed. I just,
Yeah.
see, you had said you were working on another project. I want to see if you had some.
Depends on how you take that. 12 months good news, probably not. But yeah, that's, part of this process with the contractor is coordinating with TxDOT early and often. And so that's what we'll do here and get that reimbursement request in as quickly as we can to get that process started. As the president mentioned, that's going to take a while on there, and they're going to ask for a lot of information and documentation.
Thank you. That motion has passed, so we'll move forward with awarding that contract. Moving on to item 9, Saddlebrook Ranch easement. Consideration acceptance of a 0.021, it's 922.88 square foot easement in Bear County as described in the Julian Diaz Survey number 66, abstract number 187, County Block 5059, to be conveyed to CRWA from the property owner Ashton San Antonio Residential LLC, and it's the staff item.
So this is David McMullen. So what this is, it's a development on Lower Seguin Road, just east of 1518. They're going to do some drainage ditches across our water line, put some box culverts in, so they need to lower the line. So they're going to give us a little additional area there. The yellow part is the development where they're going in. The area where they're wanting to do the work is right in here. So they're giving us extra 10 feet of real estate, about 95 feet long or something. And that's where we'll go through and lay a new HDPE pipe. They're going to pay all expenses. Turnkey deal, won't cost us anything. We're actually going to get an extra valve thrown in while we're doing the project. Yeah, next slide. So that's the area there that's highlighted in the yellow there where it's going in. Next slide. That's on the plans. This is Lower Seguin down here. So they're just going to go in and give us this little area right here, extra 10 feet. Next slide. That I think is another.
David, it's just shy of 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's
of easement.
922 square feet. So it's just a small area. So yeah, so we're going to ask for consideration or approval of getting this extra easement there.
Hearing the, go ahead. I'm sorry, Brandon.
This is Brandon Rohan. Is this an extension of an existing easement or is this a standalone easement next to our easement?
We're going to extend the easement that is there.
Okay, so the terms are the same as the existing easement as far as being exclusive and.
Correct.
rights
It
of
is the
original-
exclusive easement on this piece of property.
That's an excellent question.
I was just a little shocked that we are having to consider and accept something that's being given to us. I've never seen that on an agenda before.
If I'm not mistaken, the board is responsible for overseeing all property transactions.
Anybody else have any comments on the Saddlebrook Ranch easement acceptance? Hearing none, I'm willing to entertain a motion on the acceptance of the easement from Saddlebrook Ranch.
Second.
A motion by Randy Schwinn, second by Regina Frankie. All those in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? Outstanding. We're moving on to item 10. Fiscal year 2023 budget for Canyon Regional Water Authority. And I believe this is going to be by Regina, you can do this?
Yes.
Thank you.
We have had two financial committee meetings, and I also went and spoke to the Board of Managers. We have scrubbed the budget pretty good. There's not anything that we feel like that there was anywhere that we could take away or remove anything and still allow CRWA to do their job. So tonight I'll just come to you and I ask that we approve the budget as presented. If there's any questions, certainly we'll entertain them, but we've had a couple of months worth of discussions on it. So I would hope if there was any questions, it would have been flushed out already.
Regina, thank you very much. Are there any questions for the Budget Committee in reference to the 2023 fiscal year budget for CRWA?
I'll just make a comment that I was pleased to see salary increases in this budget, and I appreciate you working on that. I think it was very important for Canyon Regional to make a step forward in the salary provision of our benefits. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions, comments, or concerns in reference to the fiscal year 2023 budget as presented by the Finance Committee?
to approve.
Motion by Ted Gibbs to approve,
Second.
by Brandon Rohan, Vice President. All those in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Before we move on, Regina, thank you very much for the work you and the team did.
Excuse me, you're welcome. And I just want to thank staff for their hard work. They do the heavy lifting.
No, you guys did a good job. I know that we talked about, a net 5% increase. We didn't see that high, but we did see some increases and we expected that. So I think overall, y'all did a great job on that. Making sure staff is properly compensated, but still keeping everybody else's wallet in mind as you're moving forward. So thank you very much. Moving on to item number 11, CRWA Retirement Plan, consideration and approval of the Canyon Regional Water Authority Retirement Plan with Texas County and District Retirement System, adjusting the rate of employee contributions. And again, this is going to be Regina Frankie.
So over the years, when they started with TCDRS, the plan was to each year ramp up a percentage, I believe was the increments they were doing to get to the 7%. And so this is the last step from 6 to 7% to get them to that top part of the TCDRS for the retirement plan. Excuse me, as employees for their contribution, of course, then the match for Canyon Regional. So I just ask that we approve the move from the 6 to 7% for the TCDRS retirement. It is already in the budget. I'm sorry. Yes, it is already considered in the budget. So it's nothing additional beyond that.
Anybody have any questions for the Finance Committee or Regina Frankie, the committee chair, in reference to CRWA retirement? And again, I appreciate the work being done. Taking care of our employees should always be our number one consideration. It is our greatest asset. Without them, the rest of the hardware really doesn't mean much. Do I have a motion? All those in favor, say aye. Moving right along, man. Announcements and recognitions. Anybody have any announcements or recognitions?
I have one announcement. We have a new employee. If you haven't met her, to my right is Fran Powers, and she's our new administrative assistant.
Any other announcements or recognitions? Hearing none, item 13, future board and member agenda items. Again, if you have an agenda item you'd like to see placed on the agenda, please visit with our general manager. And you can see that winds up on there. John will take care of those things. So you don't have to know tonight. Just make sure they have enough time to present that onto the agenda so we can move that forward. Yeah, I think we already have a couple we're putting on there already, right, while we're sitting here. Item 14, executive session. Board of Trustees will be asked to recess to hold an executive session pursuant to sections 551.071, advice of counsel, and 551.072, property and water rights matters pursuant to the Texas Government Code, pursuant to sections 551.102. Any final action of the board will be made only in an open meeting following the executive session. And this will be respect to authorizing projects. The board will secure advice pertaining to member entity requirements, CRWA, and I'm not going to read all that. Y'all can see that up there. At this point in time, it is 6:53, and we're going to close this open meeting, and we'll move into executive session.
Basically, staff members stay, consultants can go home. And I think member managers, board of managers, we're going to stay for the representatives.
Tracy can stay here. Probably need to swear Tracy in.
Yeah.
You probably need to come out, swear in, and then go back in.
We haven't gone in yet, have we?
Yes.
All right. All under advice of counsel, we're going to come out of executive session at 6:55. We're going to swear in our new member to make sure she's fully legal here. Then we will go back into executive session. after we do the swearing in. Do we have the documents necessary to swear somebody in? Ms. Kirkland? Can we check on that? We can wait a minute. None of us are going anywhere. No pressure. If anybody wants to get a drink or a candy or a slice of pizza, coffee.
I think that's yours.
Look at that. We got it.
Is that the only one?
We just have one.
Okay.
So we're gonna go over there and do that with you real quickly.
Nothing but problems.
And we're gonna do this the best way possible, not even ask about it. I state your name. Tracy Field, appointed as a trustee of the Canyon Regional Water Authority, do solemnly swear or paid, offered, or promised to pay value or promise or as a reward to secure my appointment. Go. Thank you. Got to do two of these. I, Tracy Shield, solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of trustee, Canyon Regional Water Authority. I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
Oh, okay.
Big brothers.
There you go. I need you to come over here and sign this in front of the ladies. Good.
Can't believe they hit it right after
Pretty good, pretty good.
Hanging in there.
Me too.
One up. Oh, really? Wow. One after another.
Trustees. 34 PM. We are out of executive session, back in open session. No action is required on the briefing we received in executive session. Before we jump to a adjournment, real quickly, the vice president and the president are asking if the board will consider delaying next month's meeting by 1 week, moving it off of the Columbus Day holiday and moving it back 1 week. Anybody have any concerns?
We do. We have our meeting the following Monday. Or the third Monday of every month.
I think it's the 17th or something. Trying to piece this together here. Yeah. Anybody opposed to moving to the 18th Tuesday evening? 18th? All right, in the next agenda packet, when it comes out, it'll be posted for the 18th of October. Same meeting time, same bat channel, same bat time. If you're old enough to remember that. Martin remembers, look, he's. Same bat channel, same bat time. Hearing that, there's no other action to be taken, and it's item 16. Thank you very much, everybody. It's 7:35, meeting's adjourned. Have a great evening. Be safe going home.